Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Tropics Talk. Gulf Coast meteorologist Jim Dickey back with you here on this Wednesday morning, September the 24th. And it's pretty busy out there, lots to talk about in the Atlantic, so let's get right to it, beginning with the lone name storm out there in the Atlantic. Still this morning, that is Hurricane Gabrielle. Not looking quite as healthy on the satellite presentation this morning, although you can see it's trying to, what appears to be clearing an eye back out as it swirls across the North Atlantic. We'll zoom out a little bit to get perspective here. This is well to the east of Bermuda now and the east coast of the United States, and it's moving quickly to the east-northeast at 25 miles per hour. Winds at 115, pressure still down at 960, still a fairly powerful low pressure area, a powerful hurricane as it moves off to the east. Weakening expected going forward. It'll get away from the warmer waters of the Gulf Stream going through the next 48 hours, back to Category 1 by early tomorrow morning, down to barely Category 1 as it moves toward and potentially over the Azores early on Friday. There's the island chain known as the Azores there, so the potential for direct hurricane impacts going into early next week, or late this week rather, on Friday. Early next week is when we're talking about the potential for impacts into Portugal and Spain. Now, yeah, you see a tropical storm diving in here. This would likely be more of a non-tropical nor'easter type low by the time we get to Sunday and Monday, and does sort of dive south and parallel the coast. But some gusty rain, not out of the question, in Portugal. A stormy start to the week there, as what's left of Gabrielle dies southward, but after that, that'll be it for that storm. Now, we turn our attention more to what's going on, or what will be going on potentially, with two disturbances we're watching near the Caribbean. We have one disturbance here. That is Invest 93L. We have a second disturbance right about here, Invest 94L. You can see for yourself. Let's dive in on the satellite a little bit. This of the two, 93L, is the one that looks a little more organized here this morning. Looks to be sort of on its way to becoming a tropical depression. You see the broad turning of the thunderstorm activity with this. It has sustained thunderstorm activity overnight. And also of note, you can see a little bit of a turning back from west to east on the south side of where that convection is on this as well. You see where the brighter colors are just to the south of that, sort of that clearing there. So signs that there is at least a broad circulation with this. What we'll be watching for, can that close itself off, that circulation going forward in time. And here we have Invest 94L, which is really just a cluster of thunderstorms right now, south and east of Puerto Rico. You can see some broad turning in the winds with this, but this one does not appear, the storm we just talked about, on the verge of becoming a tropical depression anytime soon. As we look at the latest development odds from the Hurricane Center, with 93L, the easternmost system, 90% chance in the next 2 days and the next 7 days. In their latest update, Hurricane Center is saying this could become a tropical depression as early as later on today. And then 94L, I'm getting confused myself. I'm sure you're getting confused as well. The one near Puerto Rico, that one has a low chance in the next 2 days, but once it lifts north of Hispaniola, that's when models are really saying that has the chance to come together. 80% development chance on that one. And this is a complicated setup. Two systems we're watching. There could be some interaction between the two. That's not out of the question. Along with that, we have to figure out what exactly the steering flow will be as these try to come together. So take a look. The main steering factors, this by the time we get to Sunday, we have high pressure, upper level high pressure east of Bermuda, the Bermuda High. And then we have a surface front and an upper level, what we call trough, a dip in the jet stream, an upper level low diving into the southeastern U.S. I have the low center near Atlanta, but really the model has that low where you see the swirl going on near Tennessee and North Carolina. Regardless, that is the general steering flow that these systems will be encountering as they lift north of the Caribbean, from south to north. Should draw them northward, a clear sort of highway between the two that those storms will be drawn into. And so most models sort of listening or seeing that broad steering current. And look at these spaghetti plots here this morning with 93L, a northwest movement, and then more of a turn to the north with 94L. Certainly some more spread as the models are much more there's much variety in the intensity of this. Some keep this weak, disorganized, don't develop it at all. That's that line you see diving into the Caribbean, or that one looping back. Those two looping back show this staying disorganized and not coming together. But the general trend is a north movement, keeping this east of Florida. I do think that's the most likely scenario at this point in time, that both of these stay east of Florida due to those steering currents we just talked about. But let's dive into some of the operational models, beginning with the European forecast, just to get an idea of what we could be talking about. Two different scenarios. And just think of this, these two models I'm about to show you alone as just two possible outcomes, not as a forecast, but simply as a possible outcome. So here we are this morning. You can see how the winds are set up on our model here. We have just a broad sort of enhanced easterly flow with the system near Puerto Rico. And we have more defined turning in 93L, the one we're seeing a little more organization with here this morning, so no surprise there. Let's advance this forward. Let's go into the evening hours tomorrow. On the European forecast, we have a defined low pressure closed off north and east of the Caribbean. In 94L, we still have just broad turning of the winds there, north of the Bahamas. There's Friday afternoon. We now have what appears to be a tropical storm, north and east of Puerto Rico with that one, and then just still a broad turning, perhaps a little bit of a closing of the circulation by Friday afternoon. There we go into Saturday, still not a defined system on the European with 94L. 93L looks like it's on its way to becoming a hurricane. We advance forward from there. Well, now we have two defined systems. I don't think it's out of the question. By the time we get to Sunday evening, we could be talking about two named storms east of Florida. Now, enough separation between the two that they wouldn't necessarily be interacting, and both could have the chance to come together on this one. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I think there's the opportunity here that these could sort of combine into one broader system. That's what the GFS forecast model has been suggesting. So, same scenario here. We go into Thursday evening, similar setup to what I just showed you in the European forecast model. We have our closed low north and east of the Caribbean with 93L, a depression at the very least at that point in time by tomorrow evening, and then just a broad turning and enhancement of the winds with our second disturbance. We go into Friday. Same scenario here. We now have what looks to be a tropical storm. Tropical storm Umberto, perhaps. With 93L, we just have a turning of the winds with 94L. We get into Saturday. This still has the second system not developed, where it has 93L coming together as a hurricane. It brings this a little further to the west, and as such, as this has yet to come together, it's starting to feel the pull of that circulation by Sunday evening. So watch what happens as I advance that forward. Actually, it goes forward now in that. But basically, it wraps up 94L into that broader circulation and brings it north. These are the ensembles and of 94L. You can see clearly there's that drifting to the north with 94L. Not much evidence it's coming anywhere close to Florida, but certainly going north into the Carolinas. So bottom line, there is plenty of uncertainty in the models as far as what's going to go on here. Most want to drift this to the north, but I think the big question with 94L, what interaction does it have with the developing system off to the north and east with 93L? And I know you're probably very confused just with me going back and forth 93L, 94L. The models are fairly confused at this point too. So this is definitely a scenario where anywhere along the East Coast, any of you watching from the East Coast, you want to keep a very close eye on how this all comes together in the coming days. As, again, it's not out of the question, there could be a named storm sitting off to the east of Florida by the time we get to Sunday and Monday. Direct impacts here in Southwest Florida, that looks unlikely at this point in time, but I don't think we can safely rule out any impacts whatsoever to the East Coast from Florida on northward, into the Carolinas, into Virginia, perhaps the Mid-Atlantic, going into next week. So, again, be sure you're keeping an eye on the tropics. We'll keep you updated here at Gulf Coast Weather. Until next time, meteorologist Jim Dickey.